Good morning and welcome to CAD1's AutoCAD Civil 3D 2013 Project Management Webinar. My name's Stan Henne, and you can see my title there on the screen. That's not all that important because the important guy in the room today and the smartest guy in the room is Brian J. Haley, PE, our technical specialist in staff civil engineer. Many of you know Brian and his reputation. I'm sure this will be an excellent presentation today.
Thank you, Sam.
So with that, we've got a few housekeeping slides here that we'll go over. Most of you have seen this. You can see how to change what you're listening on, either the telephone or mic and speakers. If you're hearing this, you're probably already well settled in. If you want to minimize the console, you hit the little orange button there so it pushes the console over and out of your way so you can see the full screen. There's the raise hand button, and the most important one is the blue one. If you do have questions, feel free to ask them or type them in, and we will try to answer them as close to in context as we can. So that's kind of the ground school for today.
Before we move on, could everybody raise their hand for us?
Good idea.
Just to make sure we can hear, you guys can hear us? All right, I got at least 2 people that can hear me. Excellent.
Looks like
Thank you.
Looks like most of you can. Anyway, good. And want to go over a few upcoming events that we have going on. In addition to being a training center and Autodesk Gold partner, CAD1 is also an Autodesk certification center. So on Friday, October 12th, from 1 to 5 p.m., we in conjunction with Gilmar Global, who runs the certification, are running the certification exams for AutoCAD, Civil 3D, Revit, several of the products, not all of the products, at a $25 rate. Gilmore does this about 3 times a year or so. This will be the last time this year that they offer that. So if you want to get certified, you can still have time to do so. And then on October 18th, which is a week from Thursday, we have the AutoCAD 2013 Sheet Set Manager. That is, a lot of you are using the sheet sets, and that'll be a great kind of update session or new strategy session for you. On November 8th, we have Civil Chat. Civil Chat is a chance to ask Mr. Haley questions about Civil 3D in a refined and civilized fashion.
Very, very civilized.
And then on November 15th, we have the next session of AutoCAD Answers, and AutoCAD Answers is similar type program where we answer your AutoCAD questions. Michael Calkins and Jennifer Hoskins of our staff kind of answer those questions on the fly. And then on to November 20th, we have the Map 3D 2013 Document Sharing Techniques for all files, Civil and Map. And Warren Geisler will be doing that presentation. They're all free, and so hope you log into some of them. We have some upcoming classes that you may be interested in. Next week we have AutoCAD Civil 3D Fundamentals class on the 15th through the 18th. We have the Civil 3D Styles class on the 25th, which is 2 weeks from Thursday. And the survey field to finish classes, is a great class and really well attended. A lot of people like this class. It's basically Civil 3D for surveyors, and hope if that's relevant to you, you can plan to attend that. We have the AutoCAD Civil 3D Fundamentals November session, the 13th through the 16th. Of November there, obviously, and then we have some workshop type classes. I
got some dates wrong there.
Do you?
Yeah, I shouldn't be teaching 2 classes on the same day.
No, you shouldn't. But then, if anybody could be in 2 places at one time, it's probably you. Stay tuned for further developments. You'll probably see some emails from us, but we will have a grading, hydrology, and a pipe networks class coming up in November. And I want to put in a plug for Mr. Haley again here. You think I'm kissing up to him, but I'm really not. We're very proud of him here. He is one of the featured speakers at Autodesk University this year, and once again this year. Last year he was a featured speaker, and he also won the Top Dog Award as the most educated Autodesk user in all of North America. So he'll be out there again this year, and if you're going to AU, or you can tune in to some of the electronic sessions, the web sessions, it'd be well worth watching his presentation. And now just to go over a few of the promotions that Autodesk is running through the end of the month. They are running their 0% financing promotion still. The promotion will allow you to get 0% financing on all products. I have to remember kind of the details. Basically, at least 60% of the promotion has to be upgrade or new product. 40%, up to 40% can be subscription renewals, and the order has to be over $10,000. We do have very low financing rates on lower sized orders as well. So if you're needing some software, get a hold of Kelly Merrill here, and she can help you with that. We have a lot of people through the downturn here have had to lay off software and kind of let some seats sit idle. Autodesk is offering through the end of the month a program where you can get your software back on subscription and waive the late fees. This is really a good idea. Anymore, Autodesk is offering quite a bit of pretty darn good value with the subscription. It's not just the yearly upgrade anymore. There's really a lot of good tools there, and subscription is a good way to go. So if you're interested, give us a call on that. And then we have the Navisworks Manage to Ultimate promotion. So if any of you have Navisworks Manage and you want to take that to one of the Ultimate suites, the Infrastructure Design Suite Ultimate, there's a very good promotion going in that regard. And I think we have one more here. And then we have the new suite mail-in rebate. Now, the new suite mail-in rebate, for most of you in this audience, for new seats of Infrastructure Design Suite, Premium, Standard, or Ultimate. Premium is probably the most popular. There is a pretty nice rebate. I think it's $800 on Premium and about $1,000 on Ultimate. It's a mail-in rebate offer. So in addition to any discounts we might be able to give you, it also gives you a nice payback. All of these promotions end on October 26th, so you have about 2.5 weeks to take advantage of them if you're interested in them. And now we will end the commercial. Thank you for waiting through that, but we're going to do these for no charge, so we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves. That's what it comes down to. So anyway, thanks for your patience. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Haley now.
All right, thanks, Dan. So today we're going to be talking about project management within Civil 3D. Now, I do this every webinar that we do. I want to get to know a little bit about my audience. So I've got some polls that I want to run through real quick. So first of all, the thing I want to know is what version of Civil 3D are you currently using? You know, have you made the jump to 2013 yet? Maybe you're still on 12 or 11, earlier than 11? Or maybe you're just here checking out Civil 3D. So I'll go ahead and let those sit for a moment. And I'll go ahead and close that one. And we'll go ahead and see what everybody's doing here. So over half of the people here are still on 2012, which is kind of surprised me. I figured more people would be on 2013 by now. Some people are earlier than 11. Next thing, if you're not on the current version, are you planning on upgrading anytime soon? So, you know, those guys that are already on 13, yeah, you're already current. But what about the rest of you? Are you planning on doing it really soon? Maybe not quite so soon. Maybe we don't know if we are or not. And looks pretty evenly distributed. So 3 to 6 months, somewhere around there. It looks like about what 50% of you are planning to upgrade. Excellent. And what operating system are you doing? I usually have a long list of things in here, but I kind of shorten it up because if you're not on Windows 7, you're real 64-bit, and you're using Civil 3D, you really should be. Now, I know some places they just don't let you upgrade, but if you get the chance to upgrade, you really should.
Yep,
and I would love to see this at 100%. I know some cases that's not viable, but I'm telling you, if you're on Civil 3D, you really want to get on Windows 7.
And Brian, if I could interject,
Absolutely.
because I think this is important for our customers. They need to know this, and not trying to beat you over the head and trying to sell you something so much here is I just want everyone to know that after, we're going to say the 1st of February, because that's the start of Autodesk's new fiscal year, probably somewhere in February, March time frame, a lot of their older software will not be upgradable anymore at all. Anything 2009 or older will not be upgradable. Right now it is. It will lose its upgrade value. I don't want that to happen to you. Not many on the profile were using really old software or what we consider really old software. So I'm not too worried about the rest of you, but there was 1 or 2 of you that are using some old software, and we want to get that taken care of and not have you lose your value.
Absolutely. How about this one? Do you have the infrastructure design suite? Do you have all those really cool pieces of software crammed into that one package known as infrastructure design suite? And if you do, which version of it do you have? Now, I would expect that most people that have the suite have the premium suite. So if you have a suite and you're not sure which one you have, you probably have the premium suite. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's see.
Yeah, a few premiums and
yeah,
some
a few
Civil
premiums
3D.
and basic Civil 3D. That's kind of what I expected. Kind of surprised by the we don't have Civil 3D. Maybe somebody accidentally hit that button just before I closed it because everybody said they had Civil 3D in the previous poll. So
Maybe somebody joined us here
that could be.
too. There was a couple more people here.
Excellent. And last but not least, how would you rate your Civil 3D skills? You know, maybe you've never used Civil 3D. You know, what's this Civil 3D thing? Maybe you're just getting started. You know, I'm not really that good at it. You know, do you consider yourself to be proficient? Okay, I have a typo there. I understand that. Maybe you're an expert. Right? Do you feel that you should be presenting this? Noob, you're new at it. It's a noob. Right?
Oh, proficient. There's another one.
Yeah.
He's proficient at Civil 3D, but not
at
so much at typing.
Yeah. And let's see what we got. So the majority of people here consider themselves to be proficient. Excellent. Got an expert. Got some people that are brand new at it. Excellent. Perfect. Hopefully everyone will be able to take something out of this. So let's get on with this project management stuff. So really what I'm going to be talking about in this presentation is, first of all, we're going to talk about data shortcuts and data references, or are they data shortcuts and data references? Anyways, so we're going to be talking about shortcuts and references. We're also going to be talking a bit about managing and organizing your files. But first of all, let's talk about these data shortcuts and data references. So when it comes to data references, well, first of all, what is a data reference? Well, it allows you to reference data from one object in a drawing and create a new object in another drawing that references that data, hence data reference. It's along the lines of an XREF, so if you're not familiar with what a data reference is, it allows you to share a surface between drawings, or an alignment, or a profile, or things along those lines. And just as a reminder, if you run into any questions that you have, please feel free to type them in that question box. So if anything prompts a question, let me know. So first thing we want to talk about is this data references. How do I create a data reference? Well, before we can create a data reference, we have to have some other stuff. Before you can create a data reference, you need to have a data shortcut. You use the data shortcut to create the data reference. So the data shortcut is actually a file that is stored on your system somewhere. It's a little XML file, and I'll show you an example of that later, that says this is where that object resides, and this is the object that I want to reference into my drawing. So before we can create the data reference, we need to create the data shortcut. Now, before we create the data shortcut, we need to tell Civil 3D where the data shortcuts are going to be stored, and that's known as the Shortcuts Project folder. So all my data shortcuts are going to be stored under this project folder. And before I can create the Shortcuts Project folder, I need to tell Civil 3D where the Shortcut Project folder is, and that's known as the working folder. So if you're familiar with the way Land Desktop works, your working folder is basically the project folder, and the Shortcuts folder is the project. So if you're familiar with the way Land Desktop works, it's kind of the same thing. Now, let's talk a little bit about these working folders and Shortcuts Project folders. I've seen several different companies, and I've seen a couple of different ways that people like to organize the drawings on their folders. Now, most likely, one of these two methods is going to match what your company is doing. Now, the ideal way, the way Autodesk kind of envisions seeing things done, is this way. So I have a project folder. So this is where my projects are stored. And then directly underneath the project folder, I have a folder for each one of my projects. And so in this situation, my working folder would be the projects folder. Now, most likely, this is going to be on your network somewhere. You'll have a G drive that is your projects folder, projects drive, right? And on the G drive, you have a folder for each one of your projects. So the G drive would be your working folder. And then each one of the projects would be the shortcut folder. And then directly underneath the project, you would end up with a shortcuts folder here. Now, it's pretty rare that I see a company that's set up this way. Every once in a while I will see one. But they're not very common, so to speak. What I see more often is something along these lines, where they'll have a location for the projects. And then underneath that, they might have, as an example, a folder for each one of the clients they work with. So I do a lot of different projects with this particular client. So I'll have the client's name, and then underneath the client's name, I'll have a folder for each one of the projects that I work with that client. And then underneath that project folder, I might have a folder for the architecture stuff, and one for the civil stuff, and one for the landscape architects, one for the structural, and one for the whatever else you have. And then underneath the civil one, well, I've got a bunch of stuff under civil. You know, I have like reports and things like that, but I'll also have a CAD drawing folder, and that's where all my CAD data is stored. And so in this type of a situation, the CAD folder, or wherever your CAD stuff is stored, is going to be the working folder, and then underneath that you would create a shortcut folder. And what I would always do is I would give it something along the names of the project name again, so that as you're looking at the list you can say, oh yeah, I'm working in the right thing. And then underneath that folder you'll end up with the shortcuts. And that's where all your shortcuts are going to be stored. So in the first case, your project folder, and then underneath that you have each project. So in this case, this is my working folder, and then I'll have 3 shortcut folders directly underneath it. In the other case, I have to drill down to find my working folder, and then I will create a shortcut folder for that working folder. And in this case, anytime I want to jump between projects, I'm going to have to change the working folder and the project folder. So those are really the 2 different methods I see people set this up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you this process. All right, so let me go ahead and get into actually showing you what's going on here. So I'm going to switch over to Civil 3D, and here is just a blank drawing, or I don't even have a drawing open. So let me go ahead and show you the couple of different things. Now, the way I've got this particular project set up is the second way, where it's kind of drilled down into the different projects. Now, in order to access your projects, you have to have a drawing open. So let me just come up here and just create a quick new drawing. It's a blank drawing, nothing's done in here. And under the Prospector tab, this is where all of my data shortcuts are going to be stored. Now you can also access all the commands for your data shortcuts under the Manage tab on the ribbon, and you'll see I have a data shortcuts panel here. So almost all of the commands that I'm going to access through the right-clicking over here, you can access from the ribbon as well. I prefer the right-clicking. Why? I don't know. I just do. So I need to set my working folder. So I'm going to be working in, for Client 1, I'm going to be working in the first project for Client 1. So I'm going to set the working folder here. I just right-click on Data Shortcuts and choose Set Working Folder. And it brings up my Browse for Folder. So I'm going to go browse to my projects. So there's Civil 3D Projects. I'm going to be working on Client number 1. And I'm going to be working on the first projects for Client number 1. And I'm the civil engineer, so I'm going to be working in the Civil folder here. And then I've got my CAD stuff in here. And as you can see, this is my working folder, because this is where all my CAD stuff is going to be stored. And my data shortcuts really only deal with CAD, so that's where I want my data shortcuts to be. So this is where I'm going to set the working folder. Now, just so you can see here real quick, let me go ahead and open up Windows Explorer. And let me go to that location. So see Civil 3D Projects, Client 1, Project 1, Civil, CAD. So this is the current state of this folder in Windows Explorer. So I've set the working folder. The next thing I need to do is set the project folder. Now, if I already had a project folder here, it would show me I'd be able to set it. Well, I don't have one yet, so I need to create one. So I right-click on Data Shortcuts, and I create a new Data Shortcuts project folder. All right, the same thing is available right here on the ribbon as well. So it doesn't matter how you access it. I'm going to get in and create a new Shortcuts folder. As you can see, it's showing me where the working folder is, and then I give this a name. So this would be, for example, Client 1, Project 1, Shortcuts. And something along those lines. Now, if you want to, you can use a project template. What the project template does is this will put a bunch of folders in the shortcut folder, which I really don't see a whole lot of people using. It's there as an option, but I don't see a lot of people using that. So I'm just going to go ahead and create this. I select OK. And now, as you can see, as I mouse over this, it tells me my shortcut project folder. And what did this do? Well, in Windows Explorer, I now have my shortcut project folder. If I drill into here, the only thing that's under here is the shortcuts folder. And then if I drill into the shortcuts folder, I'll see all the different folders for all my different stuff here. So that's the process of creating it. Now that I've created this, let me go ahead and actually share some data. So let me open up a drawing here. I'm going to go open up a drawing for Project 1. So Client 1, Project 1, Civil, CAD, and there's my drawing here for Project number 1. So this is my Project 1 source file. This has all the data in it. So I need to open up the drawing that has the data in it. Right, so here I've got a lot of fun stuff in here, and I want to share some of this stuff with the rest of the project. This surface, for example. So if I select this surface, you can see the name of this surface is Final. And I want to share this because I'm going to do some plan and profiles in another drawing. I'm going to do some bond calculations in another drawing, whatever the case is. And so I'm in this drawing here. Right-click on Data Shortcuts and choose Create Data Shortcuts. This will create the data shortcut. Now, as soon as I do this here, I'm going to be greeted with a nice little nastygram. Basically, this is saying hey, in order to create the data shortcut, you have to save immediately before you run this command. So if I come in here, so I need to save the drawing, and I save the drawing, and then just out of habit, after the drawing's saved, I come in here and I accidentally pan. Right? Come over here and I say Create Data Shortcuts. I'm going to be greeted with the same message. The save has to be immediately before the command. Now, I have seen issues with this before. Some companies have a list routine that runs after a save. If that happens, you're going to have a hard time creating your data shortcuts. So now when I come in here and I create my data shortcuts, I'm greeted with this nice dialog box. This is basically asking me, what data do you want to share? Well, really the only data I want to share right now is my final surface. So choose my final surface. And maybe I want to do my L street as well. So this is the data I want to share with the rest of the project. I select OK. And now underneath my data shortcuts, you'll see I can expand these out. And I can see all that data over here under my shortcuts. Now let's talk a little bit about this shortcut thing. What is this shortcut? Well, let's take a look at it. So if you can see, if I come over here to my shortcuts folder, I go to surfaces, this is the shortcut. It's a little XML file, right? And if I scroll over here, you can see it's an extremely small XML file. This is not the data. This is a shortcut to the data. All right, if I double-click on this and I open it, oh, it opened up on my other monitor. You can see that's all it is. It's saying, hey, go look here for this surface. It's named this. It has a handle of this. Here's some properties of it. And that's all it is. It's a shortcut. You can kind of think of a data shortcut like a shortcut on your desktop. Right? Is that Civil 3D? Well, no, it's not. That is a shortcut that runs Civil 3D. This says, go launch this program. If I right-click on here and I go to the properties of this shortcut, you'll see it says, hey, go run this file. That's basically all it says. If I have Civil 3D up and running, and I come in here and I erase my shortcut off my desktop, what happens to Civil 3D? Well, nothing. It still continues to be there. It's just going to be harder to launch Civil 3D the next time I need to launch it. You can think about the same type of thing as your shortcut. All right, once I create a data reference using the shortcut, do I need to keep the shortcut? Well, no. It's just going to make it a little bit harder to create that reference later. Now, the analogy does break down a little bit, and I'll talk about that here in just a bit. But now I've got this shortcut. Let me go ahead and create the reference. So I'm done with this drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and close this drawing here. And let me just go ahead and close everything. I'm going to create a brand new blank drawing. And I want to reference that surface into this drawing. So I come over here to my surfaces. I right-click on the data shortcut, and I get really bummed out because create reference is grayed out. I can't create a reference. Why can't I reference this? Well, this drawing has never been saved. Right now, this drawing just exists in RAM. It's in memory. In order to create the reference, I actually have to save this drawing. So I'm going to save this drawing. I'm going to call this one surface shortcut or surface reference. So now that the drawing is saved, it doesn't have to be immediately saved. I can come in here and erase and pan and do all sorts of other things. It just needs to be a saved drawing. So now I can right-click on here and create the reference. Brings up the dialog box. Basically what it's doing is it's creating a surface in this drawing. This surface exists in this drawing. The only difference between this surface that I'm creating now and any other surface is all of the data for this surface comes from the drawing that contains the original reference. So I select OK here, zoom extents, and here is that surface. I can label this, I can stylize it, I can do analysis on it, I can use it in volume calculations. I can do anything with this surface that I can with any other surface except edit the data. So if I come up here to my surface properties, I can run different analyses on it, everything. But if you notice, I don't have any of the add data options up here on the ribbon. If I come up here to the prospector, I don't have the definitions for this surface because all of the data is coming from that other drawing. And just as a little tip, if you ever see this little button here, that indicates that that object is a data reference. And so that's how we go about creating the data reference. So before we create the data reference, you have to have the shortcut. Before you have the shortcut, you have to have the project folder. Before you have the project folder, you have to have the working folder. So let me go ahead and I'm going to leave this drawing open. I need to go make some edits to this surface. So I simply grab the surface and I need to go make the changes in the original drawing. So up there on the ribbon, I can open the source drawing. So I go open the source drawing. Here is the original drawing as soon as it gets done opening. Now, for whatever reason, it always seems to switch me back to the drawing I was in. So I'm just going to switch back over here. And I want to make some changes. Let's see. What kind of data do we have in here? We've got a couple of pastes. So I don't want to have this L Street pasted in here anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that. And I'm going to rebuild this. And what you'll notice is in the area of the street, I'll no longer see the contours representing the street. I'll go ahead and close and save this drawing. So I made a change to the surface. And you'll see the change here a little bit more in a bit. And so this is what I was referring to. I got rid of the street from the surface. Now, as I'm working in this drawing, you'll notice that I get a little bubble pop up here saying, hey, your data has changed. Let's go ahead and synchronize the data. So I synchronize the data, and you'll see my contours change. So this surface is now up to date with the original drawing. And that's all that this little message is saying. You're saying, hey, it's synchronized. Cool, thanks. And so that's how data references work. Now, one thing, remember the analogy I was talking about with the desktop shortcut? And if you erase it, you don't need that shortcut after the application's been launched. If I were to come in here and erase this shortcut, I can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if I keep the shortcuts here, Civil 3D will continue to use those. So let me show you the example here. I'm going to go ahead and close this drawing. Here I have this wonderful surface. Go ahead and close it, save it. And I'm going to switch back over to my Windows Explorer. And I'm going to go rename that drawing. So here is that Project 1 drawing. For whatever reason, we decided, you know what, this should probably be in a different location or should be named differently or something along those lines. So I'm going to move this drawing into the source drawing folder. Now back over here in Civil 3D, if I go open up that drawing, that surface references drawing that had that referenced in, you'll notice no surface. Why? Well, it couldn't find the source file. And if I come over here and expand out surfaces, you'll see I get a little warning symbol next to it here saying, hey, I can't find this surface. And if I expand out, well, the shortcuts look just fine. Now, there is something cool here. If you right-click on here, you can validate the shortcuts. And if you validate the shortcuts, it'll tell you which ones are no longer valid. So you can see these are all invalid shortcuts. Now I might have 30 or 40 different drawings that reference that surface. If you just have one, it's not that big a deal. You can always right-click on here and repair the broken references, and you can fix it. There's nothing wrong with that. It just seems to be a lot of work if you have a lot of things that you need to fix. And this is something a lot of people don't know about. There's a utility that ships with Civil 3D. And this utility is the Data Shortcut Editor. So if you come over here to your Start menu, All Programs, and find your Civil 3D folder, underneath your Civil 3D folder, you'll see a Data Shortcuts Editor. The Data Shortcut Editor allows you to modify those shortcuts. So I'm going to go ahead and open a shortcut folder. I'll browse to that shortcut folder. So that was C, Civil 3D Projects, Client 1, Project 1, Civil CAD Shortcuts. So I browse to that shortcut folder. And this is going to show me all of the shortcuts in that shortcut folder. And as you can see, they're still referencing the wrong location. Well, I want them to reference the right location. So I'm going to go find that location. So I put it here in the source drawing. So I'm just going to copy this path. And I want to replace this path with the newest one. So I'll come out here and I'll edit and I'll do a find and replace. I want to find this path and I want to replace it with, I'll paste that in, this path. I'll replace them all. So they have the new path. I'll go ahead and close this and save it. And I'll go ahead and close out of this drawing now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to open up that drawing again. So I didn't make any changes in Civil 3D. I just did all those changes back there in that shortcut editor. And why didn't it work? Let's double check something here. Yeah, let's try this. Validate. All right, shortcuts look good now. They're all valid. Let me go ahead and reopen this drawing again. And there it is. And so you can make this change for a large number of files here using the shortcut editor, which is a really cool thing. This also works if you decide, hey, I want to reference a different surface. I want this shortcut to reference a different surface, so for whatever reason, I erase that surface and I create a new one. You can tell it to reference a different surface as well if you want to. So that's the way shortcuts and references work. So if anybody has any questions on that, please type them in there. I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to move on to the project management, the managing and organizing the files. When we're in Civil 3D, this is really, really important to have a good understanding of how you should organize your files. You don't want your Civil 3D data, well, let me rephrase that. When you're creating a file, the only thing you should have in that file is what you need to create that file. So for example, if I'm working in a road plan and profile drawing, right, I'm creating a plan and profile drawing for plotting. The only thing I should have in that drawing is what I need to create that road plan and profile drawing. I don't need a bunch of sanitary sewer profile views in that drawing if I'm not going to be plotting those for this particular thing. So you want to limit what you've got. So I like to break my files down into, well, basically 3 different levels. The first level are XREF files. These are drawings that are going to be XREF'd back and forth between each other. So for example, maybe you have a base map. The surveyors went out and they surveyed the site and they created a drawing that has all the site line work in it. Maybe the planners went out and created the new proposed layout of the subdivision, or the whatever the case is. You have parcels. Parcels can't be data referenced. So maybe you have a drawing with parcels in it, and that would be XREF'd into other drawings that need to see it as well. So you create the XREF files. And when you're dealing with XREF files, you're going to be XREFing these things back and forth between each other to see exactly what it is that you want to see in those different files. An example, the planner, in order to lay out the new stuff, needs to see the surveyor's line work. So this planner will then XREF in the surveyor's drawing to draw on top of it. The next level is going to be your design files. This is where you're going to go in and you're actually going to start doing the modeling type stuff. These design files are going to have things that are going to be data referenced. Now into the design files, you're going to XREF in the XREF files. So as I'm creating my roadway design, I need to see the planner's proposed center line of the road. I need to see the existing line work for the site. Now, I'll also want to see the surveyor's surface. So that surface that the surveyor creates is going to be a design file. And these will be data referenced back and forth with each other. So as I'm creating my roadway design, I need to see the survey line work, the proposed line work, but I also need to use the surveyor surface. So I'll data reference in the surveyor surface. And I data reference back and forth with each other. If you notice, my design files do not go up to the XREF files. This is a one-way street here. And then I get down to the production files. Production files, these are the things that you're going to plot. My XREF files, my design files, these are not intended for plotting in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to plot my production files. I'm going to create the grading plan. I'm going to create the plan and profile drawing, etc. Into these drawings, I will data reference in the appropriate design thing. If I'm doing a grading plan, do I need to see the pipes? Maybe, maybe not. If you don't data reference them in. Right? My plan and profile stuff, do I need to see all those intermediate surfaces that I use to do all my model? Maybe, maybe not. So you want to get just what you need for those files. And so I'll data reference in my design files. Well, I also need to see stuff from the XREF files, so I will then XREF in those XREF files as well. And so as you're going through and creating this is, now if you notice, there's nothing going between the production files. The production file is the end thing. You're not doing any modeling or drawing that you want to share in the production file. So this is the way I always like to manage my files. If you can get this concept down, your life is going to be a lot easier, and your drawings are going to work faster, and you're going to have everybody working together at the same time. So this is managing and organizing files. So I'd like to open it up now to any questions if anybody has. Again, you can go there into the question box. We haven't had any questions yet. I know I'm not that good. So if you have any questions on anything, processes, workflows, anything like that, feel free to ask them in there. We can also, pretty sure we can unmute you if you actually want to speak with us. If you want to speak with us, just throw something in there and ask to be unmuted. We'd be more than happy to do that as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do we have speakers?
We got speakers.
There's speakers, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're on or not.
They're
but
not turned on right at the moment.
Yeah, we can turn them on.
We can turn them on.
So if anybody has any questions.
No questions.
All right. Well,
okay. Well,
finally,
there you go.
We're just kind of a summary type thing. We are online, just like everybody else, right? So we have our own Facebook page. We have a Twitter account. I have my own Twitter account as well. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am C3D+. CAD1, we're CAD_1. I also have a blog, civil3dplus.wordpress.com. Check it out. I try to do it is what it is. I spend nights and weekends on it. My wife laughs at me. So.
It's actually quite a good blog, and it's worth subscribing to if you'd like to. And I think what Brian's alluding to is that sometimes it goes 2 or 3 weeks, and other times there's 3 or 4 posts in a week. So it's just that kind of catch as catch can thing, but it's a very good resource for you. I also want to make you aware of our Part Builder Library tool. Oh, good, we've got a question here. Our Part Builder Library tool that CAD1 produces, and Brian is the product manager for. It's a great library of interactive parametric parts for water and wastewater design. So that's available to you. Alonzo has a question for us. Sorry for the ignorance. How long the shortcut box been there in the toolbox?
So the shortcut, so you're referring to the toolbox here, the prospector, the shortcuts being down here, right, Alonzo? So yes or no? Yes, okay. Yep. As far as I know, it's been there for a really long time. See, I started teaching on the software in 2007. I know it's been down there since 2007. If you're on an older version and you don't see it here, you want to make sure that you set your drawing view from active drawing view to master view. If you set this to master view, you'll see all of your open drawings and all of your drawing templates and you'll see the data shortcuts. In the last couple releases, they made the data shortcuts visible just in the active drawing view. So you don't have to set that to the master view. So if you haven't seen it in the past, that might be why.
Don't feel bad, Alonzo. We train a lot of people, and I know when I started my career, I was drawing things in AutoCAD and so forth. And to this day, if I had to draw something, I would revert to probably AutoCAD Release 10 methodologies to draw it, because I wouldn't know what else was in there. And that's one of the things that happens to people is you learn the software, you learn how to do it a certain way, and you're always busy, so you don't really always have the time to discover these new things, and so it really is a challenge. And you know, one other thing I do want to bring up, we do an awful lot of consulting with firms in the area and actually across the country. This year, Brian's done consulting with Caterpillar and a number of firms, and we're looking at potentially doing something up in the with a firm up in the oil fields in Montana. So quite a bit of consulting around the country. If what you saw today is something that you go, well, that's pretty cool, but it sure would be nice to have somebody come out for a half day or a day or, you know, a week, whatever, and really help us get these standards, templates, etc. set up, give us a call. We can arrange that and have Brian come out and work with you. Mr. James, Brian, do you have an example of how the XREF, plat, and production files will look, what they would look like in Explorer?
So you're talking about within Windows Explorer? So let me switch back over to
and David, I'm sorry, I jumped over your question there. We'll get back to it in just a second.
So within the project, you can organize it however you want. It really doesn't matter where the drawings are stored. So in the example I did, Client 1, Project 1, Civil, CAD, all of my CAD files are located here. And so I can store them. In fact, I could even have them on a different network drive if I wanted to. So how you organize them within Windows Explorer is completely up to you. In Land Desktop, things had to be in certain locations. As far as the drawing files go and those data files go, in Civil 3D, you don't have to worry about that at all. The only thing that has to be in a specific location is your shortcut folder has to be directly underneath the working folder, and the shortcuts folder needs to be directly underneath the project shortcut folder. And that's it. Other than that, you can put files wherever you want. So hopefully that answers the question there.
David, you asked, when doing an e-transmit data shortcuts creates a bunch of duplicate surfaces, a drawing set. There's maybe a couple typos in there.
Yeah, when doing an e-transmit, data shortcuts create a bunch of duplicate surfaces in a drawing set. I haven't seen any duplicates when doing an e-transmit. They should work. You might have to go through and repair the broken references, because when you unzip the e-transmit zip file, you will have the data shortcuts, and if you don't have the same folder set up as where they came from, you might have to do some repairs on those. But when I do let me go ahead and do an e-transmit here real quick. One of the options for an e-transmit, if you'll notice under the Civil 3D dependencies, you'll actually have the shortcut source file. And so that source file that I'm data referencing that surface from will be included in the e-transmit. So let me see how this is set up here real quick. Zip file, it's going to throw it. Good. Let me just go ahead and create this. And I'll go open up that zip file. All right, here's that data reference or the e-transmit I just created. And so you can see I have both the surface as well as this is the drawing that has the surface, and this is the one that it's referenced into. And so all of the drawing files will come along with an e-transmit. So hopefully that answered your question, David. But like duplicate surfaces, I haven't seen anything along those lines.
Okay, that answered David's question. Good. I do want to let you know that this, if our recording is successful today, it's going good so far, will be available on our YouTube channel, and the link to that can be found in the next couple days. Takes a couple days to get these things posted sometimes, but it will be on our CAD1.com events/archives page. So basically under the archives on our events page, you'll be able to find the links to this, and there we go.
Yeah, so
and
under the events,
and then down the archives, and you can see that there's archives for building webinars, general webinars, infrastructure webinars, and that's where you'll find this in the next few days. There's quite a few other webinars for the topics there. So you can look for it there and tell all your friends and so forth. Brian, do you have anything else you want to cover today? I don't have anything else, and it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. We appreciate you spending an hour with us, and hope you all have a great rest of your week. Very good, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.